The Russian strategy around Pokrovsk was straightforward. The plan was to capture the villages encircling the city, cut off Ukrainian defenders, and then launch repeated assaults until the defenses collapsed and Pokrovsk could be taken. At first, this plan appeared to be working. Russia broke through Ukraine's defenses and its soldiers believed they had secured a major victory. But just as the Russians advanced, Ukraine revealed a carefully laid trap. The Azov Brigade moved into action, surrounding and eliminating hundreds of Russian troops. What should have been one of Moscow's greatest triumphs turned into a humiliating defeat. For months, Vladimir Putin's forces had slowly advanced in the Donetsk region, concentrating their efforts on the settlements surrounding Pokrovsk. Every village that fell gave Russia a new position from which to observe Ukrainian movements and launch new attacks. Ukraine's defenders were increasingly worried. Lieutenant Colonel Bohdan Krutovich, the former chief of staff of the Azov Brigade, issued a desperate warning to President Volodymyr Zelensky in early August, warning that Pokrovsk, Myanorad, and Konstantinovka were on the verge of encirclement. Despite his pleas, official military statements downplayed the threat, insisting that the situation was under control. But within days, Russian troops achieved a breakthrough north of Pokrovsk, advancing more than 17 kilometers and partially surrounding the city. This breakthrough was the culmination of Putin's summer offensive, in which over 110,000 soldiers were deployed to capture Pokrovsk and sever Ukraine's vital supply lines. Russian sabotage units and infiltration teams entered the city, forcing Ukraine's defenders into desperate battles. With the situation dire, Ukraine called in reinforcements from one of its most experienced and feared units, the Azov Brigade. This unit, which had earned its reputation since 2014 by defending Mariupol and liberating key towns, was tasked with saving Pokrovsk. Despite its controversial history and past clashes with Ukraine's leadership, the brigade's combat record made it indispensable in this critical moment. The Azov Brigade acted quickly. Military analysis showed that while Russia had broken through, its advance was narrow, leaving the attacking forces exposed. The brigade identified this weakness and set about exploiting it. Working with other Ukrainian units, including the Da Vinci Assault Regiment and the 93rd Mechanized Brigade, they launched a series of counterattacks. A pincer movement cut off Russian troops in a salient, isolating them from reinforcements. Fierce battles followed, with Ukraine's forces pushing the Russians back to their starting positions, recapturing key villages, and fully encircling hundreds of enemy soldiers. The Azov Brigade acted quickly. Military analysis showed that while Russia had broken through, its advance was narrow, leaving the attacking forces exposed. The brigade identified this weakness and set about exploiting it. Working with other Ukrainian units, including the Da Vinci Assault Regiment and the 93rd Mechanized Brigade, they launched a series of counterattacks. A pincer movement cut off Russian troops in a salient, isolating them from reinforcements. Fierce battles followed, with Ukraine's forces pushing the Russians back to their starting positions, recapturing key villages, and fully encircling hundreds of enemy soldiers. Over the course of just a few days, Ukraine inflicted devastating losses. Reports indicate that 271 Russian soldiers were killed, 101 wounded, and 13 taken prisoner. In total, 385 casualties were recorded, alongside the destruction of 37 vehicles, several artillery pieces, and even a tank. Ukrainian units, supported by drones and first-person view UAVs, relentlessly targeted Russian soldiers and equipment, forcing a retreat and leaving the attempted encirclement in ruins. But Ukraine did not stop there. With the front line stabilized and Russian forces reeling, the Azov Brigade and other units pressed forward, targeting river crossings and surrounding settlements. Russia failed to secure major crossings, leaving its troops fragmented and vulnerable to Ukrainian drone fire. Ukraine advanced into additional villages, maintaining aerial surveillance and creating kill zones that prevented further Russian progress. President Zelensky confirmed in an address that Ukraine was successfully repelling Russia's attempts to gain a foothold while reinforcing the Donetsk front to prevent similar breakthroughs in the future. For now, Pokrovsk remains firmly in Ukrainian hands, continuing to serve as a logistical hub with operational roads and railways. The battle for Pokrovsk highlights the resilience and adaptability of Ukraine's defenders, as well as the vital role of the Azov Brigade. Once considered too controversial even to be mentioned on social media, the brigade has proven time and again that it is one of Ukraine's most effective fighting forces. Their swift and decisive counterattack transformed a looming disaster into a resounding victory, demonstrating once again why they remain at the heart of Ukraine's defense effort.